A silent divorce? More and more, Meghan shows us her ambition to eliminate Harry from her life. According to PR sources from the US, Meghan is showing that she's got her own career development underway, and she's trying to appear more and more often to distract people from previous PR disasters. But actually, it reminded me of something else. Is it even possible for two people to get divorced and never even say anything about it? To me, the article just seemed very contrived. What it looks to me like is Meghan is trying her best to put her own spin on things about how they're not getting divorced and they're not moving. But it looks like when we're discussing their lifestyle, they are at opposite ends of the spectrum in pretty much everything. Their relationship with the media, for example, their decisions involving the children, if they're real, etc. There are some articles coming out talking about Meghan's role at Invictus, and I'm also beginning to wonder if she is even involved in the project at all. I mean, what would be the catalyst for change with this year's games when last year Meghan did play an important role, and she's been a part of it almost every single year that she has been in Harry's life? Another thing, can any of you tell me what the lead up to Harry being in Japan was like? Did we ever hear anything implying that maybe Meghan was going to come with him to Japan? Considering Harry's lack of discussion about Meghan or his family while he was in Japan, Meghan's comments about Portia being with her at the Barbie movie while Harry was staying at home with the children, and then all these bizarre stated demands for her rider at this year's Invictus, it makes me feel like Meghan is being rejected by Harry, but she doesn't want anyone to know. So honestly, folks, I think the split has already happened. I suspect that Meghan is the one moving to Malibu and not Harry. She refused to clean the house in Montecito, and so they ended up losing money on it. Meghan's circle of friends is incredibly small. I mean, we're talking about 3 people or 4 people maybe. Marcus, Scooby-Doo, Helen, Portia, and perhaps Oprah if they're even still on speaking terms, but it kind of doesn't look like it to me. And as for Harry, he's going to be absent more and more often. He's going to try to patch things up with his friend Nacho, too. King Charles is not going to pay out any settlement money like his mother didn't when he divorced Diana. And that settlement certainly didn't come cheap. I think it cost Charles somewhere around £20 million in settlement money. If Harry has wasted his money, then she's not going to get much out of him anyway. And it is going to be the king's responsibility to decide if she gets to keep any kind of title. It's not going to be up to anybody else. It looks to me like Harry is becoming increasingly indifferent towards Meghan, and then she's trying to make it seem like everything is her idea. I'm going to be watching this space to see how much involvement Meghan really has in Dusseldorf next month for Invictus. My prediction is it's going to be little to none, and that's why we got all these puff pieces coming out explaining it away. But unfortunately, I don't think Harry is going to end up very happy. He has ruined his entire life. Meghan is going to move on like she always does. I mean, Meghan treated her own father like crap, and he was the man who gave her everything in life. Well, that relationship can never be repaired. What her father did to her is just not that big of a deal. He didn't deserve what she did to him, though. He has not gotten to meet any of his grandkids, if they're real. I mean, so he goes to the media, and he brags about getting paid for all his ranting and raving. Honestly, though, I don't blame him. I mean, okay, I guess to be fair, if this man is an example of a good father, then the bar is set incredibly low. I mean, wishing bad things for Meghan and Harry is pretty offensive. It's not right. Some people say that Meghan's father is just so upset because Harry and Meghan are happy. I don't know. I can't figure it out. If you ask me, Meghan's entire family is incredibly trashy and messed up. They got a lot of problems to deal with, and it looks like they're doing all of it in public. Because I do see Meghan's father using his daughter and trashing her to the media, which is completely wrong. I just wish that Meghan would disappear and then her family would too. I remember when Meghan didn't accompany Harry when he was out on his book promotion tours. To me, that is the first sign. That was when she first started to distance herself from him. And after that, it feels like Harry's trying to distance himself from Meghan. And I think he is just hanging on in this relationship until there is some kind of settlement. Supposedly, so many people are watching Suits on Netflix, but I don't believe it for 1 second. I think it's just the sugars leaving it on in the background while they do other things, and that way the numbers are going to look better. There might be some people who watched it just to see what all the hype was about, but then I think those people quickly turned it off. It didn't have anything to do with whether or not the show was any good, I'm sure of that. It's important to remember that they're not telling us what the viewing hours are now that it's been out for a little while. Another factor is that in July, they don't produce anything new. It's just a bunch of reruns on TV. Nobody even watched those episodes when they originally aired. Nobody knew who Meghan was until she married Harry. And if Cartier is looking for a spokesperson, well, I think they should look for Gloria Swanson. They shouldn't be looking at Meghan Markle. She was a big fan of Cartier, and when she hosted a dinner party, she would have little gift boxes of Cartier at each place setting. Whew, can you imagine being a guest there? There would be watches for men and bracelets for women. There are some beautiful photos of her from the 1920s and 30s, and you just cannot take your eyes off of them. I mean, they are perfection. She was also incredibly alluring, and she had such a mystique about her. I do wonder if I can figure out how to post these photos. Cartier has a long and storied history with the royal family, and that history's not going anywhere. They are way too clever to consider Meghan for anything. Most companies are the same. If you read the article that Newcomb released, they specifically said thank you to Meghan for their increase in sales, and at the same time, they said they do not pay anybody to hype their product. So Meghan got absolutely nothing for that one, even though I'm guessing that's what she was trying to do. Because it seems like Meghan also cannot land a clothing contract. Nobody wants to be associated with her, of course. I mean, it's all just a dream for her. She is incredibly toxic, and she is incredibly useless as well. All she really understands how to do is call up Backgrid and give them her location so they can come and take some photos of her. You know, there's one thing that surprises me though. Why has Meghan not tried to launch her own designer fashion line? Do you remember when that Real Housewife Sonia Morgan tried to launch a lifestyle brand? And though it's online, it's also sold at Walmart. Well, Sonia basically turned herself into a big joke, and that's where I see Meghan heading as well. Not that she's not already a joke, but soon enough, she's going to be known as the wannabe that failed big time. Now, supposedly, she tried to launch some kind of fashion line before she met Harry, around the time that she started that blog, The Tig. Well, it was a big failure, of course, and just looking at the way she dresses, why did she think she had any business getting involved in fashion anyway? She had dressers when she was in the royal family, and for all they tried, I'm sure she just kept telling them no when they tried to get her into something that looked good. Meghan either wasn't going to wear what they were recommending for her, or they were dressing her, but getting revenge because of the nasty way she treated all of them. I always think of that horrible green dress that Meghan wore for the Commonwealth commemoration. Now, it was customary for women to wear some form of red or white or blue. Obviously, that was a slap in the face to the late queen, and she basically admitted as much. That thing was so poorly tailored, it looked hideous. I also cannot understand why Meghan Markle would be the figure for women's causes, why she would get any recognition for being a feminist. The only reason anybody ever heard her name is because she married well. These kinds of women shouldn't be put on a pedestal. We shouldn't congratulate them. If we congratulate them, if we celebrate them, then we are teaching young women that in order to be successful, you really just need to marry a rich guy. Taylor Swift, Kim Kardashian, Jennifer Lopez, America Ferrera. These are strong, independent women. They made it all on their own. Tell me what y'all think about all this. Is it possible that they will be broken up or even divorced without anybody finding out, and we just won't ever see them together again? Meghan's PR seems to be broadcasting how their lives are going in separate directions and how it's totally Meghan's idea. I think that tells us all we need to know. Please continue to discuss Meghan and Harry's marriage in the comments. Don't be afraid to like and share my video with your friends and relatives who need it anytime you want. And don't be afraid to click the subscribe button to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, have a lovely weekend, and we'll be back to see you all tomorrow.